Now let's look at Turkiye, where public anger is rising, crowds are swelling, and the calls to oust President Recep Tayyip Erdogan are becoming impossible to ignore. Take a look at this first. Tens of thousands, perhaps over 100,000, gathered in Istanbul, outside the city's municipal headquarters. That's the seat of Istanbul's mayor. They gathered there because the mayor has been arrested. It started on Wednesday with an early morning raid. Istanbul's mayor, Ekrem Imamoglu, was arrested on charges of corruption and aiding terrorism. As it happens, Imamoglu is Erdogan's main political rival, the person with the best chance at defeating the Turkish president. Imamoglu was picked up on Wednesday, and that sparked the mass demonstrations you've been seeing. The biggest protest in Turkey since 2013. This is despite a nationwide ban on public gatherings and despite a crackdown by the police. More than 1,100 people have already been arrested for protesting. But clearly the crackdown has failed to thin out the crowd. The Turkish people are furious. They aren't backing down. Let me take you through what happened on Sunday. The day began with a vote, a largely ceremonial vote to decide on the opposition's presidential candidate. There was only one name on the ballot, Ekrem Imamoglu. He was the only one, and it was supposed to be just for members of his party, the Republican People's Party, or the CHP. But they opened up the poll to all Turkish people, and the support came flooding in. The party says 15 million people voted for Imamoglu, irrespective of party membership, irrespective of political affiliation. This was a symbolic vote. Even those who did not support Imamoglu voted for him. They basically voted against Erdogan and his authoritarian tactics.
I am very upset. This is no longer just a problem for the Republican People's Party, but a problem for Turkish democracy. We do not accept our rights being so easily usurped. We will fight until the end. Imamoglu is trusted by us, and we are with him.
While this was happening, while the people were making him their opposition leader, Imamoglu was being packed off to a prison, the Marmara prison on the outskirts of Istanbul. It is said to be both Turkey's and Europe's largest prison complex. That's where Imamoglu was transported, and he will stay in this jail while he's being tried. I told you he's accused of corruption and terrorism, but he has not been found guilty yet. He is still awaiting trial, but the Turkish judiciary has decided to keep him locked up. The Turkish people are not happy about this, which explains the outpouring of anger yesterday and the giant crowd that gathered in Istanbul. Take a look at this. Protesters gathering by the hundreds near an ancient Roman aqueduct, close to the city hall building that you saw earlier. The protesters were face to face with the riot police, who decided to douse them with pepper spray. Yes, those fire extinguisher type things that you see, those are pepper spray dispensers. The police was charging forward and covering the protesters in that stuff. So obviously there was pushback. Some protesters chose the high ground. They sang and danced in front of the police. They showed heart signs and peace signs and proudly displayed the face of the country's founder, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the architect of modern Turkey. Other demonstrators were not as calm. They tossed fireworks at the riot police and clashed with them, giving the police the perfect excuse to detain these people. As I said, over 1,100 people have been arrested already, and the number is almost certain to go up. Among the arrested are journalists. They are being rounded up from their houses or detained at the protests. The police are reportedly smashing their equipment. Why? Apparently for showing the world what is going on. Erdogan does not seem to want all of this getting out. His government is stifling social media as well. They have suspended about 700 accounts on X, formerly Twitter. 700 accounts suspended. The Turkish government really does not want the momentum to spread. Erdogan is doing everything he can to stifle dissent. He has even called the protesters street terrorists.
Cesaretiniz varsa bırakın demokrasi işlesin, bırakın hukuk işlesin. Yüreğiniz yetiyorsa bırakın mahkemeler hiçbir baskı altında kalmadan Türk milleti adına kararını versin.
Erdogan says the protesters are going against the national will. He says the days of street demonstrations are over. They are part of the old Turkiye. Well, by the looks of it, thousands of people do not like his new Turkiye, and they aren't afraid to take to the streets and say so. Are there enough of them? Will they be able to get Erdogan to back down, or will the protests fizzle out like he wants? We'll find out in the days ahead.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.